non-governmental organizations in consultative status with the United Nations have been concerned with the Taiji Men Qigong Academy case, even if Taiwan is not a member of the United Nations. The Taiji Men case has two aspects. One, of the defense of religious and spiritual liberty, and two, the fair and transparent tax procedures. Taiji Men has been very active in cultural exchanges with other countries, so that many people have learned of the rich cultural life and heritage of Taiwan. The Taiji Men issue has been much discussed in Taiwan, in the media, in the parliament, in law courts, and in public hearings. The issues are clear, and we appeal that the tax issue can be settled in a just and open way as quickly as possible.
I think is a blemish on what is a very fine system of justice in Taiwan. The role of government, the role of tax authorities, the role of prosecutors, their role is not to seize property, okay? Their role is not to prosecute people. That may be what they do, but that's not their role. What is their role then? Their role is to seek justice. Their role is to follow the rule of law. And in this case, in the Taiji Men case, it's been determined that the taxes that have attempted to be collected are improper. And this is disturbing because the continuation and the perpetuation of an injustice is as bad as the commitment of that injustice in the first place. And that is what's happening here in the Taiji Men tax case. In any court around the world, including in the United States and certainly in Taiwan, if there's been an error, we don't adhere to that error. We don't say, okay, fine, there's been an error, but too bad. If we find new DNA evidence, for example, that confirms that someone who has been prosecuted and convicted, and the appeals have gone all the way even to the Supreme Court, if later evidence shows that that person didn't do that, didn't commit that crime, we don't keep that person in jail. Why? Because we're not here to prosecute or persecute people. We're here to seek justice. And if justice from information that comes and is learned afterwards shows that a prior ruling, a prior conviction, a prior tax assessment was wrong, then it should be corrected. That is precisely the case in the Taiji Men tax case. And it is inconceivable to me that there's even a discussion about 1992 because the situation and circumstances there were no different than they were for the other years in which there's been a negotiation down to zero of the tax liability. And the world is watching. People are watching how this case is going to be handled. And I encourage all of the decision makers to put a stop to this, to not seize any property and not perpetuate an injustice that has gone on for 24 years.
It's clear, it's perfectly clear that basing on the whole story of this Taiji Men tax case, the tax office should be stopped from making any tax claim for the year 1992. And this is just exactly as you recalled, based on the principle of estoppel. Government is one. Different agencies cannot take different decisions, but there must be compliance with the law and with the principles. So we all hope that this case may be handled in the perfect way and be concluded in favor of Taiji Men.
As long as the problem remains inside the borders of a specific country, and is not exposed to the international community, there is no long-standing solution. Building up a coalition of scholars and human rights NGOs and NGOs defending religious freedom, so that Taiwan, which is a thriving democracy, and I want to really to stress it, that I've been in Taiwan, and I really hail what they have achieved in the last centuries, and even now in this period of pandemics. So give visibility to your cause in all the ways that are at your disposal, and we can help you. And the Chesnur can also be assistance.
It's to be hoped that the current government of Taiwan will be able to repair the damage caused to Taijimen under previous governments since the mid-1990s.
They claim that for 1992, the appeal terms had expired. But of course, there is no appeal term when decisions are grossly unjust. They can always be revised. In conclusion, what is happening now? Now the tax office is insisting with its bill for 1992 and threatens to seize properties of Taijimen and auction them, which will cause enormous harm to Taijimen and to freedom of belief. It's not about money. Taijimen has spent more in legal expenses than what will pay if they paid the tax bill for 92. It's about principle. They didn't commit any wrongdoing, and they don't want to admit this. It will be false.
I am not an expert in Taiwanese tax law, and I'm only starting to study your spiritual organization, but I have an awful lot of sympathy for your case, and I'm here today to say a little bit comparing Taijimen's case to other cases around the world. When we think about religious persecution, we sometimes think of heresy trials, or people are burned at the stake, or the Spanish Inquisition. But in the present day, religious harassment is more likely to take place in the form of illicit and unfair court cases. And so tax laws, zoning laws, being able to have occupancy of a building, these are the kinds of instances where religious minorities find themselves persecuted today.
The power of the state should be the ability to protect and defend individuals and groups, especially the most feeble among them. But in this case, it turns out that the state did just the contrary. In the Taijimen case, the power has been used, the power of the state has been used to discriminate against individuals and a group. When justice was returned to Taijimen in criminal court, the ordeal of this group didn't finish, because in fact, tax offices continue to haunt Taijimen with invalid tax demands.
I met Dr. Hong, the founder of Taijimen, in Europe. He's clearly an ambassador of Chinese culture and spirituality abroad, trying to unite and to have an interreligious dialogue among various groups through what unites us and not through what divides us. This is so needed today in our extremely turbulent world. They are good ambassadors of the values and cultural riches Taiwan stands for, and Taiwan should be grateful for this.
L'affaire Taijimen a révélé les failles fondamentales de l'État, de droit et la façon dont le pouvoir de l'État a été détourné ou même abusé. Les représentants du gouvernement ont violé de nombreuses dispositions de procédure régulière dans l'affaire Taijimen. Taïwan a gagné la sympathie de nombreux pays et organisations dans le monde pour la défense des droits démocratiques en Asie de l'Est et la gestion transparente et efficace de la crise du Covid-19. Il est grand temps que cette vieille situation soit résolue en garantissant aux membres de Taiji-men leurs droits humains et leur dignité et leur liberté de religion.
Certainly, it is not a transparent one, apparently, which is bad news for economy as a whole. Bad news is that the Revenue Service revealed itself in that occasion as an instrument of the executive power to carry out a persecution against a legitimate spiritual movement. However, the administrative inertia, so to say, still left alive some claims by the Revenue Service concerning exactly the same violation which was declared inexistent by the court. You shouldn't admit a fault on your side. I strongly encourage you to fight against this persecution.